Hello and welcome back. Today we're here at the Harakeke o Te Iwi in Auckland, and I want to show you how to harvest. There's a lot of people out there who have flax bushes in their backyard and don't know how to care for them, so I thought I'd do a whole segment just on that today. So here we are in the middle of a Harakeke. A Harakeke essentially is a plantation of flax plants, and they are planted for a specific purpose. In this case they're all weaving varieties. They have different characteristics and we use them for different purposes. You know, normal weaving or piu-piu or kite or muka, really depends. And these are all named varieties. Now, there are a couple of tikanga. If you're not involved in weaving, you probably wouldn't know, but there's quite a few around the country, and the main ones are, well, tikanga are rules essentially. The main ones are: we never harvest in the rain. As you can see, I'm wearing my sunglasses because today it is rather nice. We never harvest when we have our period. We never harvest at night. We don't burn the harakeke, never ever. We never harvest the three middle ones, which are the baby and the parents, the rito and the awhi rito. And in regards to cutting technique, I'm going to show you in a minute. And as you can see behind me, there is a nice tall flax bush. That one is called taiuri, which is one that you can use for a lot of different purposes. I personally like that one because it's nice and soft and it's easy to hapine, it's to soften. And it had seen better times. It's got a couple of yellow leaves, they need to go. So essentially what we're going to do is we're not just going to harvest, we're going to clean this bush. And cleaning means taking all the dead leaves off and leaving it nice and tidy. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. Before we start, we always say karakia. And the one I have been taught is te harakeke te kōrari na taunga whakarere I ho o te rangi, o te whenua, o ngā tūpuna, ho mai he oranga no mātou, tihau mauri. You might want to use a different one. Essentially we're giving thanks. We're giving thanks that we're able to use this resource and that the rains from above and that the soil is provided for this to grow. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take all these yellow bits and dead ones off, and you might want to come closer for that one. So as I said, firstly we need to take all these dry ones off, and the idea is to find them first. I continue with this, take them all off. But also, as you can see, they've got a lot of little babies coming out here. Now, there are different opinions on what to do with those. We try to get this plant to grow, because it is a weaving plant, it's not an ornamental. And at this stage we would like to harvest the longer leaves. So these little ones, they're taking the nutrients away from the larger ones. So the way I've been taught is we cut all of these little ones out in the initial stages of growing. They will eventually grow further out and the bush will become really big. So if you want to get into the harvesting stage relatively early, you're better off cutting all these little bits and pieces out. Be brutal. And the most important bit in harvesting is always cut on a downward angle. So you've got, that's your fan, hang on. So this is your flax fan here. And as you can see, you've got one, it grows from the middle. You've got one coming up in here, that's the baby, that's the rito. And then you've got the two on either side, they are the parents, afi rito. And then you've got the grandparents and so on. It's like a family to us. And so because it grows out of the middle, you would never ever touch the middle three unless they're really, really diseased and they need to come out for whatever reason. But you would always leave them there. And when you cut the grandparents or uncles and aunties, or the outside leaves, you always cut on a downward angle away from the plant so that the rainwater can just get off and doesn't get into the plant. Same on the other side, as low as possible. Not up here. Reason being, every now and then when we come back to our flax bushes, someone cut them really high, and then the next time we put our head in them, we can injure ourselves. And also, just like in tree pruning, the plant still supports those long bits and takes nutrients away from the leaves that we actually want to harvest. So eventually the plant will die. And that's all is to harvesting, really. I'll take you through and I'll show you what it's like when it's finished. So this is our bush after cleaning. As you can see, it's got lots of air in it. I once had someone telling me a Harakeke bush needs to look so a bird can fly through it. So lots of air. That helps with preventing insects to nest in it, snails, etc., and also to get disease. If they're too tight packed together, if they've never been cleaned, they look the way. So we've got two little piles, well actually one little and one big. So we've got one pile, that's the rubbish, and that will go on the compost. You never ever burn your rubbish. And the other pile is the good stuff. That's what we use for weaving. So that gets bundled up and taken home. And other than that, if you want to do that once or twice a year, that should be enough for your back garden. If you're a serious weaver, you might be able to harvest every 8 to 12 weeks kind of thing, really depending on the variety of harakeke you're using. But so that's it essentially. More information on the harvesting and on the karakia is found on my website as usual, www.flaxworks.co.nz. Flaxworks with 2 X's. And hopefully I'll come up with something else that I can show you next time. See you later. One last thing. I almost forgot the most important one. Oh, not the most important one, but one of the most important ones. See this one here. This is a flower emerging. It's quite early in the year for that. They normally flower around Christmas time, depending on the variety. But we never ever harvest them when they're in flower. When you see the buds, you stay away from it. That's the time when the plant needs its time to put all the energy into the flower, so the tui and other birds can have a feed when they flower. So when you see the buds coming out, leave the plant alone.